one of the things as an investor I noticed is that even if I found a project that I really liked, often there wasn't enough liquidity to back it up, and it wasn't locked. And so what that means is, first of all, if you want to go into a project and there's only a few $100,000 of liquidity, or even a couple $1,000,000 of liquidity, first of all, you're going to experience slippage, meaning the more you want to buy or the more you want to cash out, the price is going to move against you because the liquidity pool is too small. And you're just going to immediately lose percentage points off your investment buying in and buying out.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Girl Gone Crypto. I am really excited to have Wise Token here on the channel. So we've got Peter Girr, the founder. So Peter, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. It's good to be here.
So just to kick off, why don't you give us a high-level overview of what Wise Token is, what you guys are building at Wise, and then we can kind of dive into the details from there.
Awesome. Yeah, so I created Wise after being an investor for about 4 years and not finding the type of cryptocurrency I wanted to invest in. So the idea behind Wise is creating something that's extremely fair. For instance, there's no founders tokens. There wasn't any allocation given to me or my team. So completely fair, completely decentralized. It's made up entirely of smart contracts with no admin keys. You know, the same security as Uniswap, a smart contract with no admin keys, and asset backed. So this idea of being asset backed was something that I didn't really see in crypto besides stable coins. Right. That seems to be the only ones that are asset backed. You got these kind of weird cryptocurrencies that are backed by diamonds or backed by gold or whatever, right. But that includes like third-party companies and custody that you have to trust are on their game as well. So what I was looking for is asset-backed currencies that were backed by the currencies we already trust, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. So Wise was built to be backed by a pool of Ether. And the way we did that was that we had a massive token sale. We sold 50% of the supply during our token sale. It was auctioned every single day, so nobody got ridiculously cheap prices right. Just because they're a VIP or something. It was all supply and demand. Anybody could have participated. We raised 55,900 Ether, which is over $100 million. That was in November and December. And then we paired that Ether with the other half of the Wise token supply to create a Uniswap liquidity pair. And then we sent the LP tokens, the keys to that liquidity pair, to a burn address, essentially locking that money into the market so that it couldn't be rug pulled and that it was always there for people to trade it. And so that means that it's like, you know, the question, where does the money go? Well, all the money went onto Uniswap, got locked away, and that is now backing up Wise tokens. And so the unique thing about doing it that way is when the price of Ether goes up, we still get the gains from that. Plus, if people are buying Wise on Uniswap, we get the gains from that as well. So it's kind of like double dipping in ROI because when both Ether is going up and Wise are going up, it just creates exponential gains.
So an area that I want to dive into a little more, because I think this is so kind of unique in this day and age, if you will, is kind of these fair launch principles that you guys have really built. And I feel like right now, everyone and their dog is doing some sort of pre-sale allocation, launch right now. And so maybe you just walk us through a little bit about like kind of your, like the principles behind that and why that was so important to you and your team.
It really comes down to sustainability. It's very easy right now to just launch any cryptocurrency. It doesn't even matter if it has good tokenomics. You can hype it up, get a pump, and it really doesn't matter how it's built. But if you look at last year and a lot of the projects, just because the way they were built, sure, they can get that initial pump,
Hmm.
but then people hop onto the next project and it just kind of fades away slowly and dies. And the thing is, even with good projects, you'll still get that hype, and then people want to move on because there's this conditioned
Mm.
aspect where people in the space, they just want their 10x and then they want to go to their next 10x. So what we're trying to do with Wise is create something that is sustainable, that will be here in 5 years, will be here in 10 years. And so by locking up that amount of ether into the project, like that's not going away. Even if everybody sold on Uniswap, there would still be over $100 million in the
Mm.
liquidity pool. So that means that we're going to be here in 5 years, we're going to be here in 10 years, regardless of if people come and go. So yeah, it
Mm.
would be nice if we can gain some traction and keep on building and, 100x the token and have a wonderful time for everybody. But the important part is, even in the worst case scenario, we are still backed and we still have a price floor. It is still a safe alternative to a lot of what you see in the market.
Mm. Now, is being backed by this kind of treasury of ether, in a sense, is that how you guys are able to kind of reward people for staking in Ethereum? Because that's one aspect that really caught my attention. So if you stake Wise, you can earn Ethereum. Can you kind of walk us through how that all works?
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, I do want to point out that we launched on Ethereum. We have now $250 million liquidity pool on Uniswap, but our main product right now is staking. And
Hmm.
staking is super expensive on Ethereum right now. It
Hmm.
doesn't make sense for a lot of people to pay like $200 to
Yeah.
start a stake. That really like kills some hopes and dreams to
Yes, it
do that.
does.
So we're expanding our ecosystem, and that's one of the
Mm.
reasons I wanted to talk to you about this, because we are launching on Binance Smart Chain,
Nice.
and it's a different token. So it's an integration where
Mm.
we're having another launch where we raise BNB, and then this
Mm.
version, instead of being backed by Ether, is being backed by BNB. And it's the same system that everybody loves on Ethereum.
Mm.
So what happens is, once we launch on BNC, to your point about being rewarded,
Mhm.
first of all, we have a 15-day launch where we have $500,000 worth of rewards. So it's a very unique launch,
Mm.
because every single time you invest, you can choose a different mode to invest in, which puts you in a different prize pool to compete with. So there's ones that are like, the biggest investor takes away this prize if you go with that mode. There's ones where it's random, and if you want a certain thing, there's a mode that it gives you just an instant 1% cash back when you invest. So like if you invested 100 BNB, you would get back instantly 1 BNB when you invested.
Mm.
So that's our 15-day pre-sale, and that starts this Monday on the 26th. But as far as staking and getting paid back, so because we create this massive liquidity pool that has a price floor, there's a certain number of BNB that is below that price floor that would never need to be utilized, because even if the last
Mm.
person sold their Wise tokens, there would still be that amount of BNB left over.
Right.
And so that amount equals 50% of the entire raise. And so we are raising 200,000 BNB. And so that means that after we do that raise, whatever it is, 200,000, if we meet the hard cap, that means 100,000 BNB are going to be below the price floor, meaning if
Mm.
everybody sold their Wise, there would still be that amount of BNB left. So our contract takes that BNB, and then that gets lent out to other protocols to generate interest, and that is where the money is coming for the daily incentives.
Mm.
So not only are people being rewarded with more Wise when they stake and they lock it up over time, but there's actually incentives every single day in cash. We could have it in BNB, in Wise, even in like USDC or BUSD, where there's cash being generated every single day. That is from the interest being made from these other protocols.
Got it. Okay. And so the percentage that you talked about that would never kind of be touched, is that just the locked liquidity that I see you guys talking about on like your website and socials and things like that? Because I think that the reason I want to dive into that a little bit is that I feel like there's a lot of buzzwords around DeFi that are, people are like liquidity this and mining and lock liquidity and like sometimes don't always grasp exactly like the importance of these things. And so I kind of wanted to kind of tap your brain a little bit on why locked liquidity is an important thing to look at with a project in terms of when someone is kind of trying to decide if this is a safe place to go or not. So
I'm so glad you asked that, because this is like the backbone of the entire project, massive, massive locked liquidity. So one of the things as an investor I noticed is that even if I found a project that I really liked, often there wasn't enough liquidity to back it up, and it wasn't locked. And so what that means is, first of all, if you want to go into a project and there's only a few $100,000 of liquidity, or even a couple $1 million of liquidity, first of all, you're going to experience slippage, meaning the more you want to buy or the more you want to cash out, the price is going to move against you because the liquidity pool is too small. And you're just going to immediately lose percentage points off your investment, buying in and buying out. Yep. And the other part of that is usually in other projects, somebody owns that liquidity and they can take it away. So you are counting on the liquidity being there when you want to cash out, but it's happened, hundreds of times. It happens dozens of times every day where projects own that liquidity and then they rug pull it, and then all the investors are left with tokens that they can't sell. So this was like a very integral part of our project. And so we took all that money and put it on Uniswap, and then we locked it by burning the LP tokens, the safest way you could ever lock it. And so on Ethereum, investors know that the WISE they're holding is backed by a pool of $250 million that is impossible to be removed. So that's extreme safety, and it's going to be the same way on a Binance Smart Chain too. However much we end up raising, they're going to be backed by millions and millions of dollars that simply can't be removed, and is going to be there.
Yeah, I'm really glad we're talking about this, because I think that safety within DeFi is such an important topic. And so another kind of aspect of that is obviously potential bugs in the code, right? And so I'd be curious to hear Wise's approach to that in terms of auditing and looking at all of that side of things.
Yeah, we came at this at every single angle. We do have a formal audit by Coin Fabric. And but we also don't trust formal audits, because there's been so many of them that even though they had a formal audit, they still got exploited or hacked. And so I have come to the conclusion that the best safety measures are internal testing by the team who created the code, who knows exactly how the code works, very deeply understands it. And so we, in addition to our formal audit, we did our own internal testing for months. And then we also held a 100 Ethereum reward bug bounty over a period of a month and a half for the community as well. So before we went live, we deployed the contract, and then we opened it up to the community and said, 100 Ethereum bug bounty for any serious errors found, have at it. And so the result of that was not any serious errors. We found some spelling errors, which are inconsequential. So it passed the formal audit with flying colors, internal testing. We actually found a couple of things with internal testing that we reworked and made the code even better, and then passed the big bug bounty period too. So now we've been live since December 31st last year. Things work beautifully, very smoothly. No issues found, and I'm not expecting to have any issues, just because we took those extreme measures to make sure that we're absolutely good to go.
So you guys launched in December. You guys are just now kind of expanding to the Binance Smart Chain. I'd love to just kind of wrap up our conversation with hearing like what the team's working on, what's kind of coming next, and what people can expect next for Wise.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is the most exciting part because creating the token is just kind of like the foundation of the
Right.
ecosystem. And now I get to build the things inside the ecosystem that I really, really want. So we are expanding to multiple different blockchains.
Mm.
We have partnerships with layer twos on Ethereum, like Polygon, the Matic network formerly, and also the Harmony network, another layer two Ethereum. But we are also expanding to Casper Labs network,
Oh, yeah.
Cardano as
Mm-hmm.
soon as they're ready for smart contracts, and also Polkadot. So Polkadot as soon as we're doing that through Moonbeam, so probably like August timeframe for us to deploy there, and then whenever Cardano has the capability. So besides the, I know, right?
One of these days.
But besides the ecosystem expansion, we're working on some very important products because
Mm.
Wise is a lot more than just a token that you can stake.
Right.
It's an ecosystem for lending and borrowing.
Yeah.
So we are working on our lending contract, which we want to deploy about September timeframe on all blockchains that we are active on, and that will allow borrowing and lending. So borrowing any crypto that is integrated on the decentralized exchange. So Uniswap, PancakeSwap, whichever ones we're integrating with, you can borrow and in turn short any crypto that is traded on that exchange.
Mm.
And then you'll be able to lend any whitelisted ones. We can't offer lending for every crypto on the exchange because we have to back the we have to the project has to be legit for us to open up our contract to borrow or to lend that.
Yeah.
And so lending and borrowing. And then we also innovated another product called leverage lending,
Mm.
which the idea is, let's say you have 10 BNB. Well, you could lend 30 BNB to the contract and earn an APY off of that for the duration that you're doing that. So, I mean, you'll find other places where it's basically like a long, except you're
Yeah.
earning interest on the long while you have it.
Interesting. That's
So yeah, we're pretty excited about that. All these things are decentralized too, by the way. Everything I create is 100% decentralized. It doesn't have outside reliance to price oracles, which is really important because a lot of these exploits from flash loan attacks had to do with price oracles. So it's more secure in that way. And the APYs update by supply and demand.
Mm.
And so, rather than like Aave, they have a guy manually updating it
Right.
every single day, changing the APYs. So the master plan here is once we have the lending and borrowing contracts, start getting a lot of time of total value locked assets for lending. Well, all the profits of the system go back to the user. So Wise is a nonprofit project, and so the way we're doing that is these systems need reserve pools. For whenever any crypto gets in demand, our reserve pool is going to be held in Wise tokens, and the people that lend Wise to the reserve pool basically get a slice of the profit share from, lending, borrowing, liquidation fees. Basically, all the system-wide profits go to the people that are lending Wise to the pool, which means as more people use it, as our total value locked goes up, that increases the demand for Wise because the profits are going into this pool. So that's the master plan, and it's really just step one of the ecosystem. There's so many things I want to do. I want to do NFTs. I want to do all sorts of insurance products. It's really just a wide open canvas. But it was really important for me to create a cryptocurrency that's fair and that's an even playing field for all developers. Because I'm developing all these things. I think it's just a matter of time before other developers want to build in the Wise ecosystem too, because it's an equal playing field. They're not at a disadvantage, and so there's a great community as well.
Yeah, I feel like there is so much coming down the roadmap for you guys. We're gonna have to have you back on in 6 months for another update or something.
It's a big roadmap for this year for sure.
Awesome. Well, Peter, I honestly cannot wait to just keep watching Wise and like see what you guys are doing and building. If someone is watching this interview and they want to learn more about you guys and check out what you're doing, where's the next best place for them to go?
Sure. So first of all, we have very active Telegram, which is just at Wise Token on Telegram. Our Twitter is at Wise_token. And then our main website is wisetoken.net. And then for the Monday Binance Smart Chain expansion, our reservations page is bsc.wisetoken.net.
Perfect. Well, I will link to all of that below, so don't worry, you guys. You don't have to memorize that. Just go check out the video description and click on it. So, Peter, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. It's been great chatting with you, and thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for the opportunity.